The project I'll be telling you about is not a traditional campaign, it's more of a prolonged communications and marketing effort. Gaines Street. This particular road is located about 4 blocks south of here. It's a 2-lane, divided, east-west corridor, roughly 1 mile in length. It stretches from Doak Campbell Stadium to Cascades Park. It's got wide sidewalks, perfectly spaced trees, visible signage, offices, small businesses, eateries, urban parks, good lighting, ample public parking, art galore, etc., etc. You get the idea, it's kind of an urban oasis. But 10-ish years ago it looked much different. Lining the road were more than 20 vacant lots. Some still sported boarded-up buildings. Many of these lots were certified brownfields, aka contaminated lots. There were a few industrial warehouses and suppliers, a handful of small locally owned businesses, and state office buildings. The 4-lane road carried double the amount of cars per day that the current road carries, mostly commuter traffic. During this time, I was a student at FSU. I would never have walked down Gaines Street or any adjacent street alone ever. I played pool at the bar and studied at the 24-hour coffee shop, but I always drove. Even 8-ish years ago, when I was a student at FAMU and had grown more familiar with town, I would park behind that coffee house and take the 15-minute walk to class. My peers literally told me I was risking my life. I think they were being a tad dramatic, but the barbed wire around some businesses was off-putting. So imagine my surprise 6 years ago when the area still looked like a viable candidate for a gritty film set, and I had to start assisting with outreach to sell the new vision for Gaines Street. I was a doubter, to say the least, which is probably perfect because who needed convincing more than me? I had to do my homework and delve deep into the project. This hunt for understanding and information is one of the key things all communicators need, whether we're doing outreach on a project like Gaines or selling luxury spa vacations. Ask questions, lots of them. Do the research, learn the terms and culture and nuances. Armed with information, you will craft a better message. In the case of Gaines Street, the overarching end goal was to revitalize the area. More accurately, it was to promote the transformation of the district, helping attract new business development, and creating a positive impact on our community's tax base. Economic development. In the midst of the economic recession, and in a government town where roughly half of our land is off the tax roll, this project's long-term success was vital, as were the jobs being created during construction. To reach that goal, communication efforts needed to strike a threefold balance. We had to communicate the importance of the project to the whole community, which was funding it through tax dollars. We had to sell the vision to the development community to attract new businesses, and we had to keep the existing businesses pleased and open. To call these things together, Gaines Street needed an image. For the first time in our area, we branded a district. It was the first of many. Gaines Street got a logo and a recognizable color scheme, elements that were carefully folded into outreach and the roadway. This created a sense of place. After branding, our department's primary focus areas were the community at large and the existing businesses. For Gaines Street, our communications plan was a living, breathing document with many iterations. If there was a path through which we could create a dialogue about Gaines Street and promote the area's transformation, we'd probably entertain the idea. Because in reality, how do you keep a project fresh for 5 years? Simple answer is, you don't. You can't. Through the life of the project, efforts were up and down intentionally. At milestones, we pulled out the creative attention-grabbing actions. For instance, we painted a pipe during the groundbreaking that was installed as part of the project. We created a flash mob-style video to announce a visible and impactful change during one phase of work. We hosted a block party for more than 2,000 visitors to celebrate the end of one phase of work and reintroduce people to Gaines Street. We had many local vendors participate and offered free treats for kids, which helped draw families. We also organized a cash mob. This helped keep the small local businesses in business while continued construction hampered their sales. We had 26 businesses formally participate and many others in the district stay open and host their own specials. We also created a hyperlapse video to show the detour routes in a visual manner. This was something we'd never done before. And in the end, After we opened the roundabout at Gain Street and Woodward, marking the end of the project, we shot off fireworks behind the sculpture as we formally lit Declaration. During routine work, we stayed the course, using more traditional methods: direct outreach, news releases, and photo updates showing the project's progress. The bridge between our over-the-top outreach and our traditional outreach was social media. Much of our sustained outreach was done via these channels. We wanted the holy trinity of the time: Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. This sounds really routine to say nowadays, but in 2009, using social media, especially as a government agency, was nearly unheard of. We were among the first. Using social media posed potential issues due to records retention and sunshine laws in Florida, but we forged ahead and let them catch up with the rules and regulations while respecting and working within the spirit of the laws. Our data-driven goals were to have 1,500 Facebook likes and 1,500 Twitter followers by the end, and to produce 5 videos for YouTube, essentially 1 per year. The not as tangibly measurable goals, and in my opinion, the more important goals, were twofold. Create a space for dialogue and information. Through social media, we were able to hear problems and praises and address them before they became media stories or commission headaches. Consistent, reliable information helped us gain the audience's trust. It also gave us a platform to share smaller project milestones, run-of-the-mill updates, and quirky things like the old rail ties that we pulled out from under the roadway. The second not-so-tangible goal was to showcase the Gain Street community. As a government, we are not allowed to directly endorse any specific business, which made promoting the community trickier but not impossible. We made a guessing game one summer that featured a letter from each business's sign and eventually spelled out the message, Gain Street, spend smart, get it in tally. We shared community events, concerts, poetry readings that the businesses were hosting. We pointed out things that built a sense of place, like new murals, and we welcomed new businesses to the neighborhood. By posting consistently with a mix of things, we were a success. As a side note, if you write a communications plan today that does not account for social media in some way, I'm going to assume your audiences do in fact live at one location under the same rainbow with their pet unicorns. Every plan we write, even for our temporary cold night shelter for the homeless, includes a social media component. Also, related to measurable outcomes on social media, it's important to recognize that it's more than likes or impressions. Consider the qualitative outcomes of your efforts. Consider the interactions between you and your audience, the actions they take based upon your efforts. For us, the end result of this project was the revitalization of Gain Street. The district's tax base increased by 71% in taxable value between 2008 and 2014. The vision of a destination district with arts and culture at the forefront, where you could live, eat, play, and stay, is a reality. Today, I no longer drive to the coffee house. I happily walk at all hours of the day up and down Gain Street, around the side streets, and honestly, from wherever I can get a parking spot, because I'm not the only one wanting to check out everything Gain Street has to offer. I could stand here and tell you that the project was flawless, but it was far from that. There were bumps, and not every tactic worked. Some ideas never made out of brainstorming, some made it to reality and were abandoned, and some stuck. It was finding the sweet spot, that mix that met all of our needs, that made this project a success overall.